We've looked at several slightly not new consoles lately to see what they're like to use in 2019. Obviously, the games will always be great, but for some reason what I like to do in these series of videos is find out what secondary functions like online services still work. You know, the sort of thing that isn't essential, but is nice to have. But today I decided to make a slight diversion into computing, which is where I'm most comfortable anyway. While the PS2 was my first home console, I've always been primarily a PC gamer, and the XP era is a time I'm quite fond of. Now, some of you might know that I put together a period-correct XP gaming computer last year out of spare parts I had laying around. That video was mainly about assembling the components and seeing how well some of the games of the era run. The computer proved useful on several occasions, allowing me to record gameplay footage of games that won't run on my current main computer. It has an AMD 64X2 4600 Plus, 2 GB of RAM, and an NVIDIA 9600 GT, so it's a late 2000s mid-range gaming PC. Since the last video with it, a few things have happened. Not with the hardware, but software. Mainly, Steam is no longer supported, and there are no more up-to-date browsers available. Now, even last year wasn't such a great idea to browse the web on an XP computer, but it's worse now. The most up-to-date browser for the system is Firefox, and that was updated last summer. Not to mention the OS hasn't had a security update in several years. Let's talk about games first. Obviously, physical games that are meant to work on Windows XP work just fine. I've got a bunch of games like Need for Speed Underground 2, Battlefield 1942, Colin McRae Rally 2005, San Andreas, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Morrowind, Oblivion, Driver, Mafia, and probably a bunch more I can't think of. All of them work. That's the beauty of physical games. I don't even need an internet connection. Unless they're Steam games, obviously. Steam not only stopped supporting XP, it actually doesn't even run on the operating system anymore. Some games like Skyrim and Mafia 2 did work with XP, but due to the Steamlessness, that's no longer the case. Unless you use a no Steam crack or something. My copy of Steam actually launched because it was an older version of the client. I even managed to download a few games. Unfortunately, the client updated in the background and it hasn't worked since. I tried launching the games that were installed just by going through their directory, but obviously Steam doesn't run, so they don't work. There are games on Steam without DRM, thank God, and those work no worries. Obviously, at this point, you'd have to install them on a more modern computer and transfer the files to your XP computer. Speaking of no DRM, unless something is exclusive to Steam or I get a Steam gift card as a gift, I buy PC games on GOG. The GOG Galaxy client doesn't work with XP, but since the platform forbids DRM, you can just download the installer for whatever games you own from the website and you're good to go. The exception, of course, being mostly modern games. Don't expect those to run. Some newer games do run though because they don't require the newer technologies that Microsoft has elected to reserve for its newer operating systems. The proper version of Minecraft, the Java edition, still works because Java. It's cool that a game that still gets updated once or twice a year still works with older computers. I always joke that Minecraft runs on everything, but it can't run well on anything. Perhaps not a full truth there. Also, the launcher is 2 versions old, which is pretty funny. A game I was almost sure would work on XP was Stardew Valley, but it actually doesn't. Of course, I also had to try a Neptunia game. It wouldn't feel right not to try. Even though Neptunia Rebirth 1 says that Windows 7 is as low as you can go, it still works on XP. Rather well, too. It has a few slowdowns here and there, but it's very playable. If I had some slightly better hardware, it would probably be buttery smooth. I didn't try any more games, but because Neptunia ran so well, I'm considering trying out installing Windows 10 on it, just to see how the hardware would handle the newer operating system. I think that would be a fun video. That also means that certain things that don't run on XP might still run well on it, hopefully. That's the plan anyways. Of course, I also tried browsing the web. Like I said, Firefox is the last browser to get an update in the summer of 2018, so about a year ago. It's a bit slow, but that may be because of the computer. I did the obligatory YouTube test like in all the other in 2019 videos. 720p at 60 frames per second works, but it stutters here and there. And 1080p for some reason doesn't work. The sound keeps going, but the image stops. I think it's a problem specific to this particular computer. Maybe, again, if I had better hardware, it might actually work fine. Oh well, it's not like we're lacking devices to watch YouTube on. Twitch doesn't work either. The videos just will not load. Twitter seemed to work alright, even with the new layout, except when you got to videos or GIF animations. Slightly surprising. Why wouldn't it work? I always try the Patreon site too. Yes, it's a bit of a plug, but the website is great at being slow, so it's one I always try out. It's very sluggish, but at least it displays properly, unlike the console browsers we've been looking at in the past. General web browsing is a bit slow too, but then again, we shouldn't really be browsing the web with an XP computer. Still interesting to see how it performs though. Again, I wonder what would happen if we installed Windows 10 on it. It would definitely be more secure, but would certain things run better? And would the opposite be true for some other things? I think that's something best left for another video. Maybe we can even do some sort of cheap new PC versus old good PC shootout. Because going by the comments I see in anime game videos, there seems to be an interest in trying to run these games on older or weaker hardware. Which makes sense since a lot of the popular anime games like Neptunia, Disgaea, Senran Kagura, and many others aren't that visually complicated, mainly because often those games are ports of Vita games and things of that sort. And system requirements don't really give you a good idea of how badly or well a game will perform. I'm still trying to figure out what approach is going to be the most helpful. Once I figure it out, you'll see the results on this channel, of course. In the end, it looks like this particular XP computer isn't quite up to the task of modern demands. But it doesn't need to be. It just needs to run games my current computer can't. I really like using XP again from time to time too. It's a very familiar environment. In fact, I frequently still try to go to the control panel or my computer by clicking the start button before realizing that things don't work this way in Windows 10. But yeah, I think this was a fun little video. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters like always. You can also get your names on the end card here and watch videos before they come out. Check the Patreon page for details. If you want to support the channel in a different way, consider grabbing a shirt, hoodie, mug, or sticker from the YSN Teespring store. You can see all the merch underneath the video. Alternatively, you can look in the description where all the links to all the things are. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.